What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're having a good week. Last week, got the back of the car cut off. So we capped the frame, tubed it, or built a brace, and then I got the rear body hanging structure done. I got the new quick change in the back, just set in place. I still got to build a rear mount. But today, what I want to do is try to get my dry sump tank mounted. I also need to figure out what I'm doing for an ice chest, because I think the 5-gallon fuel cell that I bought isn't going to work. It kind of blocks air coming out of the fans. Where I wanted to put it was right here, and the fan would blow right against it, not really allow any air to escape. So I also have to pull the water pump out of the caddy, because I need that for this car. Whatever I do with that probably won't have that water pump on it, because I'll probably put a front mount radiator back in it. I also need the axles out of it, so I got to pull that out. I also need the clutch delay valve, so I got to pull a bunch of stuff out of that. But what I'm gonna do is get working on mounting the dry sump first. Bounce around. We're getting ready to get hammered by snow here in New Hampshire, so I don't know what I'll have for time to really button this stuff up, because I got to plow and clean stuff up. Junior's coming back today. We're gonna hopefully get the mold ready for, or get the mold done for the trunk lid. Once we get the mold done, then I can get some carbon fiber sheets and actually make a carbon fiber trunk lid. That'd be super cool to have. Hopefully make it super light. I'm trying to get this car lightened up as much as I can. But yeah, gonna get going on that stuff and see how far we get. All right, so I got the water pump off the caddy. I think I'm gonna mount it right here. It's up higher than the original, or than the outlet, but as long as it's lower than the top of the radiator, it's still gonna get water, so I'm not too concerned with that. This is a pretty easily accessible place. I'm gonna build a bracket and we'll just weld right to that tube, mount that. Junior is spraying the PVA. We got a bunch of coats of wax on the trunk. Everything's prepped. He's spraying the PVA right now. He's got a couple of coats of that stuff. And then we got to go in with the gel coat. Completely do a couple of coats of gel coat. And then we can start laying some fiberglass on it and get a mold. Alrighty, so I got my water pump mounted. I ended up finding a good spot for that. It's pretty much right in line with the outlet of the radiator, so the coolant shouldn't have any issues getting into the pump. Outlet will come down, and I've got something I really want to do with the coolant system and the oil system, so I'm hoping it's going to work well. But we're leaving that off camera. I got my dry sump tank mounted. I wanted it a little more over, but for some reasons, I'm not going to say right now, I had to shift it over there. I'll end up running a hose off the bottom of this down. It'll zip tie to the diff or somewhere, and that'll be my drain hose, but that works good. I've got a heater to go in it. I've got to find a spot for that now. Might be that hole, might be that hole. I've got to figure out what it is, where I'm going to put that. But the dry sump tank's mounted. The vent, I'm going to probably get a -20 Street 90 with a female end, and then I'll use a -20 to 16 adapter. This, only reason I made this -20 is to fill it, because this is the fill and the vent. So I'll fill it through here. I'll also vent it through here. It'll go to my catch can, which will be mounted somewhere in this area here on the firewall. Look all nice, be all good. So yeah, we're moving right along. Next thing I got to do is figure out my ice chest. I don't know what I'm doing with that yet, because there's not really a whole lot of room. So definitely a situation I got to figure out. But I think the battery is going to be okay living there. I'm hoping anyway. If not, yeah, I'm not sure where that's going to go. fuel cell that I bought for an ice chest doesn't really work anywhere. There's just no room for it. I decided to build one, and it's going to sit right here. And I got it all drawn up, cut up, bent, and everything. And I'm pretty stoked with the way it's going to look. I've got to trim this piece. I've cut it a little long just to make sure that it reached. But this will sit, basically the wheel will sit like this. This is upside down right now. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So I got to get it cleaned up, sanded, tacked together, and then I will get this piece tacked in place. Basically just ran everything through the brake, ran this through the slip roller, but looks pretty good. I'm going to get that all tacked up and get it kind of placed in the car, figure out some mounts, figure out inlet and outlet to it, and it should be good. Alrighty, so I got this all welded up. I notched it to go around the down tube of the frame. Fits nice. Pretty stoked with the way it turned out, but I do have to check, see how many gallons of water this thing fits, at least so I know. Terry, what's your guess as to how much water that thing's going to hold? 2 3/4? I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to hold like 4. So, got a gallon jug over there. We're going to fill it up, see how many we can fit in it. Oh, it didn't even spill any as it runs out because my welds suck. Oh, I made a mess. All right, so we got like 1.98 gallons here. I think we're getting more than 2 3/4 in there, Terry. Here goes number 3. And number 4, let's see if it all fits in. Oh, oh, that was so close. That is full. I won that bet, Terry. That is really close. That's like 3.5. We were like right in the middle. So I gotta figure out where to put drain on it. I'm pretty sure drain is gonna go right on this little overhang right here. So that'll be perfect. The tire won't get anywhere near it. And I'll just run, it'll be just a 1/4 inch NPT bung, put a petcock on it. And I gotta figure out where to put a return and then the feed. The water pump's gotta pick up the water somewhere. But I think the water pump's gonna sit kind of over in this area here. So probably weld, pick up there. And then the return will probably be a little higher up somewhere in this area here. But yeah, we'll figure that out. I got to make sure that I leave enough room for my Dash 20 AN hose there. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked with the way that fits and looks and everything. There's enough room in there to access everything. Should be pretty sweet. So I got a 3/8 NPT bung welded in here for drain. I'll end up putting just a petcock in there to drain it. I might put like a little 90 or something on it first to come out, do something that way it doesn't get whacked by a tire shredding or something like that. Also got my inlet, my pump pickup, and my return welded in. There we go. So that will go out to the pump. That will come back from the heat exchanger that's down in there. As far as the pickup goes, to make sure none of the ice gets in the pump, I've got this. This is a Dash 12 orb with a screen on it and a Dash 12 AN outlet that'll thread right into this 411 works Dash 12 orb bung. And I'll run a fitting off of that. We're going to run my hoses for my heat exchanger right down in there. So I'll have 2 hoses that come out of here. One's going to go right up to that as a return. The other will come out of my hoses that are going to run up to the front. So it worked pretty good. I'm pretty stoked with the way it came out. I just have to mount this now and then put the cap on it. So I made a post on my Instagram about the ice chest. And I had quite a few people message me asking me questions about it. And basically, the ice chest is to store ice for my intercooler. So I'm not running an air-to-air cooler like a conventional car would. Basically, a lot of times there's going to be air-to-air intercooler right here, basically a big air radiator essentially. I had one on the Caddy. My intake temps got pretty high sometimes, so I want to try to get my intake temps cooler. So on this car, I'm going to run an air-to-air cooler. Well, this is an air-to-air cooler, or water-to-air cooler, rather. This here is a water-to-air intercooler. So you got water that goes in, gets pumped through a heat exchanger, and then out, and then you got air that comes in, blows across the other side of it, and then into your engine. So with this, as long as you can get cold water to that, it's going to keep your intake air temps a lot cooler. Also, obviously, gets the charge system smaller, shorter rather. So you shouldn't have any boost lag or less boost lag. But the way the system works is you have to have storage of some sort. So usually like a small reservoir or something. I'm going to run this big ice chest reservoir. So that is going to store water and ice. And then I'll have a water pump that pumps it up to the heat exchange, the intercooler, which then is going to have water that comes back here. The water that comes back here is going to go into the top of my heat exchanger that I have mounted down in there, come out the bottom, and right back into the ice chest. So that allows me to do a couple things. It will hopefully keep the ice a little bit longer, and then also allow me to run it without ice. So I can run this just with straight water in it, and it should still keep my intake air temps cool, but also at the same time allows me to run ice if I really want to. So probably what I'll do is grassroots days. I'll run it without ice, save a little bit of money, save a little bit of hassle. I won't be building as much power, so I can turn the boost down a little bit. But then also on comp days, I can turn the boost up, put ice in there, keep everything happy, and be good. So I'm trying to make a bracket for my water pump, and basically I've got these 5 little screws. They're not threaded factory, but they threaded out to a 1024 pretty decent. They're a little loose in there, but there's 5 of them, so it'll hold it all right. But I wanted to get this dimension. So what it is, grab a piece of cardboard, put the pump on, put the screws in it, put the pump in, and just push down on it, and gave me a D10 of that. So now I have my drawing. If you wanted to manually cut this out, you could transfer this over pretty easy to a piece of sheet metal. I'm going to scan it in my scanner so I can draw up a bracket in Inkscape. But yeah, that's how I would make that work. Alrighty, so I must have forgot to turn my mic on, but got the intercooler water pump mounted. Just a small, thin sheet metal bracket. Dimple dyed it, made it look cool. Inlets, outlets are in a decent spot. Should be nice, easy to plumb. Hoses are going to be relatively short, so it'll pretty much be self-supportive anyway. But yeah, come out pretty good. Alrighty, so I was going to run this battery. It's an old Odyssey battery, or I was going to run that size battery. But I think I've decided against it. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get 2 smaller batteries, and I'm going to try placing them like here, build a bracket that comes off to hold them here. I think I'll like that a little bit better than having it right there. It doesn't fit the greatest there. Here it's kind of still protected. Not really like it needs to be, but I still need, no matter what, got to worry about tires getting shredded and stuff. But if I have 2 smaller batteries sitting here, I'll just run them into series, or parallel rather, wire them parallel, so it'll just double the size of the battery, essentially keeping it 12 volts. I think that'll work a lot nicer. It opens up a big space here, and I can actually put my fire suppression tank here, which I kind of like, rather than up there by the feet. I'm not sure yet, but I think I might be moving some stuff around from where I originally thought to put it, but I'm waiting on a couple of batteries to come from the local parts store. I won't be running those. I'll get like excess power or something like that, but yeah, I think that's the game plan for now is to move the batteries to right here. All right, so while I'm waiting on batteries, I decided to bolt my ICT billet alternator bracket on, get my alternator in here. This is a Power Master alternator, came off the caddy, and get my ICT billet water manifold. However, I realized very quickly that water manifold doesn't fit because of my turbo support bracket. So that kind of sucks. I'm going to have to cut this back and then figure out something to do with it. But I'm going to cut it off right now and see what I have for room and then go from there. This side is going to use the upper port. This side is probably going to use the lower port. So unfortunately, I need to make sure that that bracket's out of the way. Alrighty, so I just showed you a small little clip of the mold for the trunk lid. I just added another layer of fiberglass. Basically, I'll go into a little detail on the mold process. This is new to me, so take it with a grain of salt. I will post a link to guys' videos that I've been watching as to how to do the molds, how to do all the process on building body panels. But basically, take your mold or take your part, which is going to be your plug, and then you add a border around it of some sort of disposable material. I used the plastic, I forget what it's called, but basically what political signs are made out of. Put an edge all around that, then wet sand and get your plug really, really, really smooth. From there, put a mold release wax on it. Do multiple coats of that. I think Junior ended up doing like 4 or 5 coats of that. Then spray on a plastic, which is, it's really thin plastic. It's called polyvinyl alcohol, PVA. So you spray on multiple coats of that as well. And all of that, what it does is allows the mold to release from your part. So after you have the PVA sprayed down, then you go in with a gel coat of some sort. You can use regular gel coat, I guess, but really you want to use tooling gel coat. It's much harder. So you can do multiple parts on it, and you don't have to worry about the gel coat peeling up. Then once the gel coat is mostly cured, you do a bunch of coats of the gel coat. Once that's mostly cured, then you start layering fiberglass, and it's pretty much just that. You put one layer down of really fine fiberglass mat. I forget what stuff I call, but basically it's just like a mesh. It's completely see-through, and that's essentially just to give the base layer a really defined base as to what you layer on top. So like first one, really thin, allows everything to conform to your plug. From there, you just start layering fiberglass chop mat down. I'm gonna probably end up doing about 6 layers. This is layer number 4. So I'm hoping a couple of more layers of fiberglass mat. I've already gone through like a gallon and a half of fiberglass resin though, so definitely soaks up a lot of resin. And then once you get enough down, you want to wait a few days for it to cure, and then hopefully pop the part right out of your mold. That's the hope anyway. That's the point of doing the PVA. That's the point of the mold release wax as well. So, but like I said, I'll post some videos, or I'll post the guys' videos that I've been following, and yeah, hopefully we get a nice mold for the trunk lid out, wet sand and buff the mold, and then I've still got to buy the stuff to do um, the vacuum infusion with. So, but hopefully this helps somebody. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Got a decent amount of work done. Pretty stoked on the results of a lot of things in the back of the car. I definitely got to figure out a battery. I tried putting the Group 47 or whatever battery I have out there back in it, trying to find a spot that I like. Can't find one. So I'm going to end up probably talking to a couple battery companies and seeing what they can offer and seeing what's out there. But we'll see if I can get a battery squeezed in where I want it. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.